Good afternoon and welcome back to IIDA Summit. This event is an initiative by the Architect's Diary, sponsored by Insulpro and Bromic Heating. Our venue is designed by Manticore Designs. Now there will be a panel discussion on residential architecture, balanced relationship between inside and outside. Our moderator for this event is architect Himani Ahuja. Architect Himani Ahuja is the co-founder of One Digital. She is a celebrated architectural journalist and communication expert, specializing in architecture, design, and construction industry. Our panelists for today are architect Dipen Gada from Dipen Gada and Associates. DGA began as a very modest interior design firm. Gradually, with time and every project accomplished, DGA evolved from an exclusive interior design firm to a civil and architectural planning firm and attained the position as one of the respectable and admired firms of India. Since its inception in 1993, DGA has made its presence felt through innovative, minimalistic, and timeless designs. The principal designer and founder of the firm, architect Dipen, holds a bachelor degree in civil engineering from MS University, Vadodara, Gujarat. Then we have architect Badri Sutar from the Grid Architects. The Grid Architects buildings have a direct impact on our psychological, biological, and sociological well-being. Their philosophy, biophilic design, is the design that seeks the innate emotional affiliation of human beings to other living organisms, generating a biophilic skin that positions the projects at an equilibrium between the built and the natural world. They hope that this is the kind of future they would contribute towards. Next, we have architect Swapnil Valvatkar from Collage Architecture Studio. He is the founding partner and studio head of the Collage Architecture Studio. Born in 1979 in Goa, he completed his Bachelor's of Architecture from GCA, Goa University in 2001. He worked as a trainee in Chandavarkar and Thakar Architects Private Limited and later joined the same firm as an architect under architect Surya Narayanan's team. In 2004, he joined Mindspace Architects and was associated with various large-scale projects. Being a multidisciplinary organization, it engages in creative and contemporary design solutions with a wide range of projects, including architecture and interior services. At Collage, they believe that each project has its own peculiarity and cultural interpretation and should be approached with unique and integrated vision. Next, we have architect Rohit Suraj from Urban Zen, instilling fascination, elevating the human spirit, and initiating conversations are the cornerstones of Urban Zen's design story. A passionate proponent of independent thinking and creative change, he has lived true to his belief that no challenge is too big or too small, engaging in the design process with equal enthusiasm. His level of attention and detail has been quickly noticed in the Design Fraternity, and Urban Zen has come to be known for dramatically different designs that deliver a strong message. Now, each of the panelists would speak about their design ideologies and beliefs, which form the core of their firm, after which the panel discussion will commence. Thank you. I think we can start with architect Himani Ahuja.
Thank you, Gauri. Thank you for your warm introduction and sharing a little insight about everybody who's there on the panel with us. And I welcome everybody. Like we are here about residential architecture. Let's first talk about a little about what it is, and then I will pass it on to everybody talking about themselves, right? Like we know, the theme is residential architecture, and right now is the dire need to know that a spotlight has been put forward on residences, which are accommodating the demands of this unforeseen era of the pandemic and the COVID-19. We need to understand that now, the design of residential architecture will need to adapt to the reality. And this is not probably going to be the last pandemic. Even if it is, I think we have to be well prepared for it. And the reason that we need to create a balanced relationship, that's the reason we have all of you here to kind of, share your expertise and, help everybody to build this balanced relationship between the inside and the outside of the living space for like a healthy life, mentally as well as physically, right? To start with, like Gauri mentioned, I'm just going to share the people that we have on the panel, which is Mr. Dipen Garad from DGA. We have Mrs. Batri Suthar from the Grid Architects. We have Mr. Rohit Suraj from Urban Zen. We have Mr. Swapnil Valvatkar from Collage Architecture Studio. Well, welcome you all. Let me quickly introduce myself to start with. I am architect Himani Ahuja. I am the co-founder of One Digital, and my firm does PR and communications, which is technically called as architectural PR and communications, for the design industry. Why I got into it is basically noticing that PR really takes a backseat when it comes to the design industry. We do not really focus on the business development aspect of our community. We do not really focus on the marketing and the PR aspects of our community. We've always thought keeping the dynamism only to design, but I think a design firm is much more than that. It is also a business of architecture, right? So I made my goal to cover niche where I can create different brand strategies to uplift design firms and help them be known from becoming a firm to a brand in the country. So what we really do is we curate different brand strategies through conference platforms, through different engaging content which we build for your projects, and we kind of start afresh for you from maintaining a foothold in the industry. And currently, because of the pandemic, I think everybody has realized the importance of going digital and to have an on-set PR team for them. So we are working with various design brands and firms to uplift their strategies during and post pandemic. We are finding the aftermath of it, and we are also now taking the lead in the right direction for various design firms to have a strong foothold again, right? All right, thank you for welcoming me here. Let me start with Mr. Dipen Gara, if he can introduce himself and share what he has to talk about himself and residential architecture. Your mic is on mute. We are not able to hear you.
Yeah. Hi,
Yeah.
everyone. So this is Sunday actually, and I was really not, well prepared for Sunday. Just I said yes, and then I realized this is Sunday today, and then half of the way I'm in a Sunday mood. Bear with me, but I'm sure it would be a fun. So what we've done is actually we are into this field since last 27 years now, and we are doing projects which is absolutely personal, and sometimes it is public, sometimes it is institutional, and sometimes it is kind of I mean as the social kind of engagement what we have worked on. But most of the time we normally focus that where the end client or the end person who wanted to work with us should be equally passionate, and that's what the fun working with. I always believe that any good result is the result of good team where the client, their understanding, their faith, and their search for the right designer and the right, kind of combination should happen. This is not only we that work, but it is the kind of a good collaboration in terms of good designer, good client, the vision, and of course the project coordinator. And to put my point, what I understood that we have to present something on 7 minutes. So what we have done is we have actually prepared a small presentation in terms of a recently completed project, which is a Chiku Award. And I really wanted to share the process of it very quickly, where we have tried and worked with the nature hand to hand, where we need to perform because it's a need of a client and it is a contextual. At the same time, we wanted to go forward with a thing that how we can put um, our design, harming the surrounding, harming the nature as minimum as possible. And that's what we do in number of other projects. This is a good project to share with. Why I'm sharing this? Because it would be creating a base of what we are talking about, and it could be a good for the panel discussion as well. So I don't know how shall uh, anyone help me sharing that screen which I've shared.
So your screen is already shared, but could you open the presentation folder where you need? Yes.
Uh, yeah, okay, okay.
Yes, exactly. We
So
can see your screen. Yeah, the presentation.
yeah, wonderful.
Thank you.
So this is a small weekend house. When I'm saying small, it's a big weekend house, but only two-bedroom weekend house. Actually, client wanted to build in their away in their farmhouse, which is having 70, 50 to 70-year-old chiku trees, and it was a beautiful journey doing this. This is a plan, very simple plan where. Uh, on the ground floor, it is kitchen, dining, open courtyard, living room, and the open sit-out area, which is covered from the top. And on the first floor, one way it is home theater, and on the other way it is two-bedroom associated with the hanging swimming pool, infinite swimming pool. With this, the time is less, but I wanted to go through a journey which we have gone through. So when I visited the land, it was like a beautiful chiku abode. The site itself is such, actually one cannot build anything over here, but at the same time, as a designer, we need to respect the need of the client, and that is what our duty is. And we actually thought of making something out of it, and to make as to put our foot forward in a way that we should damage the surrounding as minimum as possible. And this is the process which I wanted to go with, where we have actually selected the site where we should try to harm minimum native. I mean, they are before us, so I can say they are native for the land, and how minimum we can affect them. And also, we wanted that this entire abode should hug to the development after it happened. And we have selected the material as a steel, uh, as a core and base material, as a structural member. Why? Because two reasons. One is these are allowing us to make us structure as light as possible in terms of footings and in terms of minimal damage on the earth. Second is client themselves were industrialists, and they were into industrial fabrication work since years to come. So we have selected nature of the structure which is their forte and where they can give us a best result. And this is how entire structure and journey what we have enjoyed each and every time when we visit site. We were equally thrilled and excited as the site people are, where the structure is actually cuddling and the chiku trees were cuddling to the main structure. Of course, at the site, we have trimmed few chiku trees where we tried in a way that that chiku tree can be resized, or they can actually grow up a little more later. So the density of their branches has been a little bit trimmed, but we have tried that that structure could be woven within that as much as possible. So these are the, the journey of entire process, where the structure is gradually coming up with the strength of the steel, but as transparent and as minimal as possible in terms of the structure to harm to the overall surrounding. And this is how this journey what we have actually enjoyed, and every time whenever we visited, it is equally as the built kind of environment what we wanted to nurture. These are a few areas which is kind of open amphitheater towards the west side, uh, and gradually the house is coming up with a lot of areas to develop. Uh, Now, this is an interesting story because this is the area which was completely designed as outdoor recreational area, but client wanted security to, not security from any theft, but they wanted that unwanted dogs and the creatures should not enter to this area. So then our design team have thought of something where we have introduced one beautiful screen, which is a metal screen, which is a sliding folding screen, which was a kind of experiment where we wanted that the surrounding should reflect on the screen, which should look very good from inside at the same time outside, but this entire area which has been then used in a different perspective. So this is how when you can see the screen at the night from outside, or that's a beauty where the light is penetrating through a very controlled holes, which is creating a nice forestation kind of uh, area. These are again some site progress pictures when the house has been gradually emerged within the nature, and the palette of entire house has been selected in a way that it should be more near to the earth. Certain areas where the outdoor swimming pool is been planned in a way which gives infinite of effect, and this is how the sunlight is pampering to the house all across. These are few pictures which is after the finishing of site, and every time it is so exciting where uh, you actually come across different perspective of the site with the time to come, and one can see that how the house is absolutely well grabbed by the chiku tree as much as possible. So definitely we have to attend certain requirement, and that is why the built mass always occurred, but we wanted that built mass should not be so influensive on the nature, and nature should be overpowering to the superstructure and how it cuddles to the overall. So these are few pictorial areas where the soul is enjoying a different area of house. Unfortunately, we have actually lost couple of trees in course of the process. We have tried all our level best to retain them, but a couple of them, I mean, out of many, couple of them we have actually lost, which is a big loss according to us. But most of them is been revived, and overall we are expecting to grow up in a way that finally the house should be more with the natives. Why I'm showing you all this thing, because this is all north facing facade where the glass has been given in the north. Maximum glass has been given in the north, which is having 8 feet of covered verandas, which is actually protecting house from the harsh heat. In most of the season, house is not getting heated because of the surrounding, because the entire west has been covered with services and the walls, and entire north, south and west, and entire north and east is quite transparent, but again that has been well covered with lot of overhanging, you can say, the decks and verandas. This is the one more tree which where we actually lost this tree. One is in the center and one is this more, but actually we are trying to revive these trees. We actually came across certain people who are helping us to doing the same to help this is how uh, we can say the house is cuddling to the nature, or I can say, I'm sorry, the nature is cuddling to the house. These are two different areas. This was the area which I was talking about, the uh, covered outdoor recreational area where multiple activities is taking place, where the screen is playing the pivotal role with, see, this is where the screen is off, and this is where the screen when it has been opened. So you are completely with the nature as and when it is required. This is the backside. This is the courtyard. This is one more tree which we have unfortunately lost, but again, as I've told you, we are actually trying to revive this. I hope that we can definitely. But this courtyard where you can welcome nature, well, you can welcome rain, heat, wind, and everything. The staircase to go up, and the courtyard from the top floor, certain area on the top floor, where this house we have tried in a way that it should completely part of nature. This is one bedroom with a calm and cool finish, with the toilet also been designed in a way which is completely opened out in the nature. Another bedroom which is associated with the swimming pool and facing to the west. And this is how the area is well merged with outdoor. You can see the placement of the bedroom as well. Home theater also been designed in a way that completely merged with the outdoor, and it has been closed whenever it is needed with the curtains. And this is one of the night view where you can see the house, which is, even the house and the screen has been designed in a way that one can feel the part of nature. And this is what a couple of night views when you can understand how beautifully it has been, well covered with the nature. Thank you. Thank you. You can, I
Thank
can.
you. Thank you so much for an insightful presentation. I think you always make your presence felt through, innovative, minimalistic, and timeless designs like that. Thank you so much. Let's move on to our next panelist and know a little more about Mrs. Bhadri Sutar. Ma'am, if you can take this forward. Your mic is on mute, if you can unmute that. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Imani, for welcoming me. દીપેનભાઈ બહુ જ સરસ ઘર છે. I am Bhadri Suthar, co-founder and co-principal designer of The Grid Architects. My husband Snehal and I founded this firm, Studio Design, in 2002. We are into architecture, interior, and landscape. We also have another design studio called Carpenters, which is into customized furniture and some customized specialized interior. For us, our design philosophy is very clear. We follow features of biophilic design and we make an conscious efforts to avoid unnecessary clutter or cosmetic. For us, anything which is functional, is efficient, which is meaningful, which is truthful, which is honest, is part of our philosophy. Our aim is always to design contextually. Thus, in retrospect, we try and look for natural materials, natural resources, local materials. That's what we always try and do. So, for us, it's a challenge that how to use features of biophilic ideas and then create better human centric designs. We all know that when we design buildings, they have a huge impact on our psychological and physiological being, our emotional well being. And we try and look for ideas that inspire us and to design such that promotes our human well being, our health, and the practice of heartfulness for both of us has really helped us to elevate our consciousness and again come to design whatever we have been doing over the past few years. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I think we do see that, your firm has a mandate for contextual design and something which is close and closely connected to the earth. And we really applaud your designs for it. Let's move on to designer Rohit Suraj, the CEO founder of Urban Zen. Your mic is on mute. If you can unmute that, please.
Okay, I think all of us again. All right. So thank you, Himani. Thank you for having me on the and introducing me. So I founded Urban Zen, the company that I run, in 2000, 2011. So we are an architecture, interior design, landscape design firm. We sort of span the verticals of residential, commercial, institutional, as well as hospitality. But since we're talking about residential today, I think I'll focus a little bit on how we sort of approach the residential domain. I think the residential domain particularly is perhaps the most complex domain or vertical that we service. And this is typically because it involves a lot of um, let's call it the human sort of element into it, and this comes to speak of the clients, especially who are very emotionally involved, especially when it comes to residences. For us, in terms of designing, it has always been more about the ask, or the it's always been client centric, so to speak. So we always sit down, get into sort of lifestyle understanding of the client's lifestyle before we sort of decide on the direction for the project. So it's more about what they want, and somewhat less about what we want in that respect. So there's of course a function. There's also a bit of fiction, a bit of storytelling that we'd like in the design, and finally, of course, a lot to do with the financial outlay the clients want to put forward. So I think in line with what we believe, we believe that that architecture and design as such is a little bit about how you it's a little bit about how our dreams are, how we would want to sort of perceive things in our imagination, and it's how we capture that in reality. Um, I think it's a testament in some ways, because the truest, let's say, antidote to the current pandemic has been architecture in many ways, because we are bound by the rooms and the houses we live in, and for those who are fortunate enough. And I think architecture it has in the past reacted to pandemics, as it will now respond assertively, positively, and in the long run, gainfully. So coming back, I mean, architecture is about instilling fascination. It is about initiating conversation, and at the end about elevating the human spirit. I think that's key at the moment. Thank you.
Thank you. I think I truly believe that, architecture is about independent thinking. And I think we see that with a lot of your designs where you're trying to bring creative change to, varying scales and profiles of projects. Thank you. All right, let's move on to Mr. and architect Swapnil Batkar from the Large Architectural Studio. Let's hear from you what you have to say about yourself and residential architecture at large. Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay. Yeah, so we call ourselves Collage. Yeah. Ourselves Collage. Collage is a firm which was formed in 2008 in Bangalore. After three of us, it's formed by three partners. We've worked in CNT and Mindspace Architects for about 7 to 8 years, all three of us. And we started this firm in 2008. Why collage? I mean, I think architecture is a collage. It's almost like jigsaw puzzle which we have to put together, and that's, I think, collage was probably the apt name for a architectural practice that we wanted to start, because we feel that each of the puzzle parts have to come in place to form the perfect picture, and that's something which we have always believed in. I mean, whether it comes to people, ideas, textures, form, context, clients, and these are all the puzzles that really need to come together to form that one whole picture. And if even one doesn't fit into it properly, then you don't have that complete picture. So that's something which we always strive to do, get everybody along. And our biggest strength has been the people who have worked with us throughout, and they are the ones who form the the center point of that puzzle and complete the whole picture for us. So the whole firm's work is actually a tribute to all the people who have worked with us. Uh, I mean, as a practice, we have always thought that architecture studios should be a laboratory of ideas. They should be the ones which start, kind of inventing ideas. And ideally, the place that you work makes a huge impact on the places that you start creating. So we moved into this house, and we had this one small 3 BHK house which we renovated it. And the way the place just starts responding at different times and different parts of the day is amazing. So if you have the 9:30 to 6:30, you have the work activity going on, and in that same space you literally have a festival celebrated, or there are panel discussions, or there are presentations happening, and then it becomes a party place at times when we have to celebrate certain things. Also, the whole house that went into, kind of reconverting or re-looking at the whole facade. We used a lot of recycled material like the beer bottles to create a compound wall, and in fact even the steel and the door handles which were revitalized from a nearby factory. uh, and everybody has actually had a hand into it. In fact, the moving brick, which is there on the wall, is done by one of our office boys who actually took the initiative and did this brick wall, which starts rotating, or you can place it in different angles. I mean, we've always questioned as a firm what is a good design, and that's something which has always been, always we start looking at, and everybody goes through this whole thing. And to us, good design is something which is very simple, which is very easy to understand, something which is not mystified, because down the years or whenever we try to somehow mystify design, but design has to be very simple. The solution to any problem, like even if you take the whole idea of the opener versus the beer bottle cork, which has been introduced now, it's a very simple solution to a problem which has always been existing, and it took so long for someone to actually decide and invent that. Even the chairs, or these are things which, when it's simple, it starts becoming timeless, because then it doesn't remain of any era. And that's something which we strive to do in terms of our design. We try and work with the context that is given, so of the place, for and by the place kind of a situation for our architecture. We always try to kind of work with that whole idea of touch, smell, taste, all the senses, sensitizing all the senses. That's something which we prioritize in our designs. Of course, going back to the tradition, reinterpreting the traditional elements of Indian architecture, whether it's a courtyard, whether it's a screen, or whether it's anything which has to do with the traditional. Always try to look forward into it. Light plays a very important role. We almost use light as a building material rather than as just as an element, because I think light is very important. When it falls on texture, it just completely makes it very different. Color plays an important role also in terms of our work. And the last and for the most important thing is, how does everything around this become timeless? If you allow space to be absorbed, because we are a country which or a culture which believes in absorption, unlike the West, which believes in minimalism. So we have to be able to have spaces which start accommodating, which start absorbing things which we build along. So these are memories which you start giving, and it becomes personalized only then. So that's something which we as an architect continuously strive to do, and this entire thing then becomes timeless. So this is very simple for us in terms of our philosophy. It's simple. It has to be simple. It has to be contextual, light, texture, color, absorption, and all this put together becomes timeless. I'll just run you through one project. One project which we have done. We generally work in very dense urban conditions, because in Bangalore our sites are 30 by 40 or 40 by 50, and those are the kind of projects we actually started with. So we kind of these are the sites that we get where you already have a huge streetscape, and everybody is built to the edge of the compound wall, sometimes even in your site, and you get this kind of streetscapes or the site conditions that we are looking at. So how do you actually start looking at or strategize this or come up with solutions which are needed? So if you look at it, ideally we would have an open it outside, because that's the most efficient way of looking at design. But in most of our cases, when we're doing houses which are small, we tend to look inwards and try and get as much light from the top as much as possible. Try and introduce greenery in between. And these are two plans just as a comparison. One is a 30 by 50 on the left hand side, and the other one is a 30 by the 30 by 40 on the left hand side and 30 by 50 on the right hand side, and we start really looking at sections as a very important tool in terms of our design practice. I can literally say our design starts with that one section, which probably dictates the whole design, and then we try and create those volumes within. Even in a small houses, interaction becomes a very important role, plays a very important role, because you then start communicating with one level to another, and when you have the split levels, it becomes even more essential, because otherwise you're always stuck in your bedroom. So literally we split the floors, try and have a dialogue between floors, and that's something which kind of enhances the whole space or the volume within. And then even as a facade, if you can utilize, maximize, or the entire thing, and use spaces like the right hand side, if you see, it's a balcony which gets convertible, so the top part can be opened and it remains a balcony, or it becomes a part of the room whenever you want. So you are literally looking at that every inch of the space that is available, because space is a constraint, and it's pricey. So to utilize that and give that much more to the client. After doing all this, we got a house in Goa which was slightly larger, and then we tried to use the same principles, but maybe in a much larger scale. And again, we went back to the same idea of where we can start off as a traditional house. So in Goa, you really need to screen the building, because one is, of course, the sun direction and the wind, which is from the southwest. But you get the best winds from the southwest. So that was like a dilemma, or you kind of have that position which you have to take, whether to save one or block the other. So ideally, if you can work out a strategy where you can get both, then that's the most best, or the best way to look at design. And that's what we did. We kind of looking at the site, we kind of had the top floor which was cantilevered out from all directions, so probably the west, mostly the west and the south, and that allowed us to kind of screen the building at the lower level as well as at the above level. The above level, the rooms were pushed back, and the verandas, like kind of as you have in the old tropical houses, the verandas kind of wrapped around the building, and that's what it did. So those became, at the lower level, it started becoming, because of the proportion that we wanted, they became like sit outs, and which are shaded for most parts of the day. And on the top, when it gets cantilevered, it starts becoming a balcony, and that protects your immediate bedroom. And when there's no rain or there's more place, you have these large cantilevered balconies which allow you to have a nice cup of coffee while sitting outside. So these are the terraces. Again, the language was kept very subtle. You used a palette which was exposed concrete, white, and straight lines, and color was just either in plants or some cushions, and then you had one accented color which ran through it. That's how the whole house looks. So that's the terrace that you see. So literally, it's almost like a wrap around the house, which happens on the south and the west. And those are few pictures of the internals. A very important element, traditional element, is a tulsi, and in a Goan Hindu house, and that's something which becomes like a forecourt as before you enter. And that is also re-looked at in terms of just as a cube, and people have this ritual of going around the tulsi. So it becomes a nice place to sit when we have when people have this whole festivals along the tulsi puja and on all that. Yeah, so these are few internal things. We again, to beat the the heat, we have kind of introduced turbines in the roof. So those are the turbines in the roof which suck in the concrete roof to suck the hot air out, creating a clear story so that the hot air starts getting out. A very open plan at the top level, and you just have these 3 bedrooms at the higher level which start overlooking into the central space. The entire house starts looking from one level to another. It's the same principle what we generally follow in the smaller houses. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Swapnil. I think you've kind of clearly made us see different typologies of houses, where one had a fairly limited space and the other one had a courtyard of its own. So it's basically, your designs creates, spaces which could converse with its surroundings and the users quite aptly. I would surely be throwing a lot of questions at you regarding both the aspects of it.